सबसे पहले कुरुक्षेत्र की पावन धरती को प्रणाम and thank you so much for the team of NIT to invite me here. This is my first TED talk. If I mess up somewhere, please don't make it viral. That's my only request. So my name is Vijay Manik Jolly, and today I'm going to talk to you about something, because whenever you speak at these forums, it is expected a motivational talk. I have never heard any motivational talk in my life, ever. Because I feel all the motivation that I needed to do something in my life was all around me. And that is what I wanted to share with you, that we find leaders in people around us. And that is all you have to look for. You don't need motivational speakers. You don't need people to guide you what to do. You don't need to read heavy quotes and get them printed to put on your wall. Just look around. In your family, in your friends, everywhere. There is somebody who's teaching you how to do what. If you go by principles of leadership, management, you hear these words: focus, tenacity, perseverance, hard work, all these things. And then you read and you step out and it's all the same. You forget it. But if you learn it, you observe it from someone who you know, you will always remember. So I'm just one normal person like all of you. I have no better way to explain my point than just give you a little glimpse into my life story, and maybe you'll get my point. I belong to a city called Rohtak, which is very close from here, and I studied there, and I grew up and went to India. The first leader for me was my father. We came from Punjab because of the communal tensions there, and we went through a lot of poverty. Not like, Bollywood wala humne Audi ki jagah BMW mil gaya, not that, but genuine poverty. Very difficult time for us. But I saw my father struggle. I saw him work day in, day out to get next job, struggle with his health because of his injuries and all that. And only thing he taught me, that just focus on studies. You become something that nobody can question your competence. That is all. We actually were that stage, we didn't have enough to eat or clothing and all that. But I focused, padhai karni. So I did well in studies, I did well in extracurriculars, all that. And before my 12th finished, I went into NDA. Only because I saw my dad live up to what he said: do not give up. And I was sure that I will not let that compromise happen within this house. And the second greatest leader I found was my own mother. When all this was going on, she was a young girl from a small village in Punjab when she married my dad. And when we moved and all, she was only 10th pass. Imagine managing house in these difficulties. She also started her education. She did class 12th. By the time I finished 10th, she had done her BA and she became a teacher at a small school. Do I need to look anywhere else for inspiration that how to struggle, how not to give up, if not my parents? And then when I moved from, thank you very much, thanks for her. And then we moved to NDA. So NDA is cradle of leadership. You have leaders everywhere, because it is just meant to prepare leaders. But a couple of guys still touch you. So why I'm telling you, there's a lead. We often look up to people. He's a great leader. I should look up to him. I should follow him. No. Remember, the key word of leadership is unique. You have to find your style of leadership. And why I'm bringing all these people up, so that you remember that I learned from a lot of people, different things. So we had an instructor called Captain Madan. I learned a lot from him. He had a nonchalant way of being a leader. He didn't stress. He didn't care about anything. He would do what is required, get the job done, never abuse, very chilled out guy. And I realized you can get work done like that also. Just because you are in a position of authority doesn't mean you have to impose it on others. You can be friendly with people. One style of leadership. When I moved from India to IMA, we had a drill instructor who taught me a great lesson of legacy. So he was a Havaldar called Havaldar Hiralal from 3 Grenadiers unit, which got the Paramveer Chakra. He was always talking about his unit. And watching him, I realized that we just don't take enough pride in ourselves. We don't take pride in our culture, we don't take pride in our heritage, we don't take pride, and we just try to ape west all the time. But anybody who is proud of their legacy, who is proud of their past, who is proud of their heritage, is definitely going to be a better person than somebody who is not. That was a lesson I learned from him. Then I moved from there to my unit. So I was commissioned in Gorkha Rifles and I went to Kupwara, the name in my book. And within first year, I got my Sena medal, killed a lot of terrorists. Right. So the leader I got motivated was my CEO, Colonel Kundalkar. He had a different hard taskmaster kind of a leadership style, where you make people work, teach them, and ensure that a result is delivered. That's a different kind of leadership style, which he made work. I moved from a unit to military intelligence after 3 years. There I met another great leader, Colonel Raika, who was again a very thorough man. So what I'm trying to point is, when you meet these people, you naturally follow them because they put across a platform on which you want to work with them because of because of how they are and how they operate. So Colonel Raika taught me so much, and I'll give you an example how he was different from anyone. And I also, I really wanted to learn from him. We were doing some investigation, and there's a very nice guy who everything was pointing towards. So I told him, I said, sir, everything aside, all the proofs aside, but he's a very nice guy. So he said, if he's a nice guy, you propose him for marriage to one of your cousins. But for this case, he will be taken on. So that objective thinking, I know it's a very, very small example, but that objective thinking is very rare to find, where you are able to detach your emotions from the work you are doing. Yes, we say in our career you should be passionate and driven and all that. But when actually the time comes to take the call, are you able to take that decision that I have worked 2 years on this project, but I'm very sure this will not work. Am I able to drop it today, immediately, and move on to next one? Are we able to do that? So that's objective thinking. When I left army, I joined solar energy. So I joined a company called Sun Edison MEMC, and I volunteered for rural electrification. Our villages did not have too much electricity back then. The CEO I had there was Pashupati Gopal. Again, I learned so much from him. He had, tomorrow when you will grow senior, you will realize that unknowingly a certain arrogance starts setting in. You start believing, I know better. You think because of the age, maturity and the position you have, I will tell everyone what to do. Pashupati gave everyone a chance what to do, and that is why everybody who worked under him actually is doing pretty well. He allowed leaders to grow, and he allowed me to explore rural electrification. In one of the projects I was doing in Madhya Pradesh, a very tribal village, no road access, no water, no electricity, something. I'll give you an example that how all this leadership led to the decision that I took, all these leadership lessons. The village was small, like 40, 50 houses, and there was one house of a very old widow, which was like half a kilometer away. You know how that was the tribal setup they lived. So when I built a microgrid, we connected all the houses through transmission system. It was a very costly project. To connect that single house was costing a couple of lakhs, because you know how transmission systems cost. Right? So we asked the villagers that this is a social stigma thing, why don't you let her come and stay within the premises of the village? They said not allowed, we will not do that. That is when my Fauji woke up. I said, you will have to. They said no. I said, something has to happen. Not only we connected the house transmission to that house, I gave the entire on-off switch of the village to that lady. I said, she will control when you will get the electricity. So I could do that only because I had met really strong people who had been able to take decisions in life. I continued with my solar journey. I worked with World Bank for a year. I worked with Deloitte for some time. I worked with Nanyang University for some time. I kept doing all these things, and then I thought, I know it all. And I started a startup in rural electrification. Very soon I went bankrupt. I didn't know it's a capital-intensive project thing. But the thing is that always stayed with me. Don't give up, you know. I used to go to these really fancy international conferences, stay in really fancy hotels, travel business class, but I did not have money to eat. So I used to eat as much as possible in the conference, so I'm not hungry later. But I did not give up on my dream that I will make this solar company work. Because I know I can sell the costliest electricity, that time it was solar, to the poorest people of India and still make it work. 2014 government changed, they gave electricity to everyone. I had nothing to do. So I went into consulting, all that. And after that I have been, trying to work on it. We moved to water. I use the same microgrid energy to provide clean drinking water. That is when PM Modi's Mission Innovation was coming up and they awarded us. This was 2019, the most critical year of my life. In 2019, I was in Russia. I was going through the security when I had a brain stroke, right? And I immediately started to feel very weak. I realized something wrong is happening to me. I just didn't know what. Next 24 hours, obviously I didn't go on the flight, I was coming back to India. Next 24 hours were the worst hours of my life. Because it was almost night there. They have a different medical system. They keep dropping me from one clinic to another. I was blind, I was paralyzed, I was vomiting blood. I just didn't know what, but my brain was pretty sharp. I knew something really bad has happened to me and I have to get out of this. So at a point came around 2-3 at night that they just left me in the hospital. And I was looking here, there was nobody around. They're not that crowded abroad, right? And I told myself, I will not die today. Because I could feel my breath. So that is one mystery I solved that day, what happens when you die. You don't suddenly die, right? The gap between how you breathe keeps increasing. At one point, you just don't take the next one. As I could feel that my breaths are coming slower and slower and gap is increasing, I knew something is very wrong. I had just lost my dad 1 month back. And I told myself, I cannot do this to my mother. So even though I could not see, because my brain had gone wonky, I did not understand left or right, I just told, bring in all the training you had in NDA, IMA, commandos, whatever, and I started crawling. Whichever direction I thought, I said I will reach somewhere. So I continued crawling and one old Russian guy, he found me, and the thing is I could not speak because even if I could mumble something, and these guys didn't understand English. So you're getting, not only I cannot speak, even if I try and get out a word, they cannot understand that. So I just could not figure out how to make it happen. What happened, then he went and called some doctor who actually they checked everything and they found my last meeting was in our embassy, Indian embassy. They realized this guy is not just drunk on vodka, he's actually injured and he's from embassy, so maybe he had a meeting. So they called them up, they said, yeah, he's our officer of the gate. And next day morning treatment happened. I was in hospital for almost a few months. It took me 2 years to start walking again. I gained a lot of weight. I still have I have issues with climbing stairs, there's that. And I went into not clinical depression, but I cut off myself from the world. I said, yeah, this is not what I was. I used to be very fit and strong, and now I can't even do one push-up, or I'm so heavy walking around this. For 1 year, even after I started walking, I did not step out of my house. So one day my mom took me outside to a mall. And I'm limping around with a hockey stick and walking around. Next day again, 2-3 days after we had done that, she said, do you see? Nobody cares. I said, yeah, that's the point. That was a wake-up call for me, that actually nobody cares. In this world, the amount of pressure we give ourselves, that if I do something, what will the next guy think, is enormous. Whereas the point is nobody cares. This world is very complicated that way. We are all like frogs in a well. The moment somebody tries to climb up, we are happy to pull him down. Even if we are also drowning, we just don't care. On that we care. But when somebody sees problem, most of the world does not care. That day I decided I will start my journey again. So I picked up a job, which turned out to be very bad, right? And I did not go along with the leader that I was reporting to. And only once somebody mentioned, I think, is this okay job for you? I said, no, I don't want to work for it. I left, I said, I will write a book now. So I took a year, got a book published, which was published recently. And now I teach, I write books, I do academics, whatever I want to do, I know it is one life I have, I will do it. even though for me, I look at this right from killing terrorists to running intelligence operations to writing book to solar in villages. I think at every point in time in my life, there are leaders who I was blessed to interact with, who shaped me for who I am. So I'd only tell you one thing, that I have a friend whose name is Ashwini Kadyan, and I have another friend, Abhishek Gira, right? He's NIT graduate, by the way, my type. Those are the two friends I have learned so much from. One is the typical guy who, when you are sitting and drinking, he will eat all the snacks, that kind of guy. But he's very dependable. His only factor of dependability is that he's a kind of a de facto leader to the group. Only dependability. So nurture that one element if you have to. The other guy, Abhishek, is the most gregarious, friendly and conflict resolution expert. If there are 5 people in group and everybody deciding where to go, somehow everybody thinks Abhishek is my best friend and everybody will go where Abhishek says. I don't know how that he makes that happen. The point is, we don't have to look to every time to Elon Musk or Napoleon when we have to talk about leaders. The leader of your group is standing right there. Just think, what is he doing differently? You just have to look at your teachers. You just have to look at your family, cousins, friends, anywhere. You'll find glimpses of leadership everywhere. And that is what you have to learn from. You have to grasp that I want to be like this, in this aspect. And that's what will make me a better person. So, I will finish this on 2 things actually. One, I have almost followed one thing, a cat and dog theory in my thinking, right? You have 2 pets. You have a cat and a dog. And you give them both something to eat. The dog thinks he's my master, he's my god, he's feeding me. And the cat thinks I must be the queen, he's feeding me, my slave. Your every interaction in life will be dictated in these 2 basic principles. Everybody you will meet either will be grateful or thankful, supportive, or they won't care about you. And that is how you will also be, sometimes a dog personality, sometimes a cat personality when you are dealing with others. Only thing, nothing is wrong, both as individual species have evolved very well. But you have to decide at what point you have to take which cover and how you have. Your interactions with people are what defines you, nothing else. There's a very famous saying, and I live by it. People don't remember what you say, people don't remember what you show, people don't remember where you take them to. They will only remember how you made them feel. Go to somebody's house and he's very nice and given you food, respect, everything. And while you are leaving, he insults you. You will only remember that. Because it is how we make others feel through our interactions. The biggest trait of a great leader is humility. Remember that. The more humble you are, the more you carry inside you. Hence, be humble, be respectful to whomsoever you meet. Respect our culture also, but also you're the next future of country. Do not get swayed by boomers all the time. That's my advice. Just stick to your whatever thing you believe in. What you are building right now, many of the people will not be able to understand. So have faith in what you are doing. You are the future of the country. You are the future of humanity. You will build things upon which the future of this world depends. So your vision is very different from what we see. So have faith, and my last line would be, find your unique leadership style, and that will take you everywhere. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind.